Hello YouTube and welcome to a tier list, something a bit different. We're going to tier all the teams based on how I think they're going to do in 2025, so that in 3 to 4 years time when there's a new edition we can go back and look at this and we can see how wrong I was. We're going to start with NAF style, so this will be resurrection style, and then we will go into progression afterwards. NAF style is probably easier to judge because you can literally just use tournament stats and arena stats from Blood Bowl 3 and rank the teams based on that. So there's more obvious data on what's good and what's not good. Progression's going to be a little bit more subjective. NAF is obviously done on tiering, Christopher B, but at the same time, the good teams are still at the top and the bad teams are still at the bottom. But it gives us something to base it on. So we're going to start off. This is not quite in alphabetical order because, as you can see, I've made this for Blood Bowl 3 for Davo a while ago. And quite a lot of the teams aren't in Blood Bowl 3, or I didn't have time to edit vampires in the same style. So we'll start with all the Blood Bowl 3 teams, and then we'll go on to the teams that aren't in Blood Bowl 3. So we'll start with Amazons, and we're going to put them straight to S tier. Amazons are still probably the best team in the game, until proven otherwise. They didn't get any worse, except they've kind of lost 30 player. That's about the only nerf they got. They don't really suffer from the elite tax, so if elite tax comes into tournaments, we still need to see how that's going to happen with the elite, how tournaments are going to play the elite skill tax. But even if you do and you say, like, I've seen one that's gone 4 of each skill, they don't care. If you say only 4 elite skills, they don't care. Zons to me are still the #1 team until proven otherwise, and that's even with some teams gaining tackle. Blackhawks. Now this is a hard one for NAF style. I think in NAF style they're probably B tier now. I would have said they were C tier before. I would say they're B tier now. The Trolls lost Loner, which is good. Elite skills do hurt them though. The elite skill, if the elite skills get taxed and get taxed heavily, that really hurts Blackhawks. Well, yeah, we need to see on that one. They're kind of probably a low B, high C, but I'm going to go... might be talking myself out of this, actually. Let's put them as C for now. We can always put them up later. Hey, Force Unlocked, 25 months in a row. Oh, 25 months in a row, 25 watch streak. The problem is I've seen elite skills tier worked differently already. My event, I'm ignoring tier skills for now, elite skills for now. I've seen one event which has gone, you can have 4 of each. 4 of each, Blackhawks are fine, because you take 4 block, you take 4 guard, done. If it's 4 elite skills, full stop, they're dead in the water. No, you know what? I'm actually going here because Chaos I'm putting straight here. I think Chaos have actually got worse. I don't, and they were never great in NAF, and I think Chaos now are worse in NAF. They're really reliant on block. They're really reliant on some other skills. So I think 100% Chaos are just in C tier. Dark Elves, I would say around B tier, which is probably dropped down from like S to A tier before. I still think they're going to be very good. I just don't think they're going to be anywhere near as good as they were. They're definitely ahead of Blackhawks. The elite skills don't hurt them too much because they still can take Wrestle on the Witch Elves, a couple of dodges. If it's maximum 4 of each skill, basically elite skills do not affect them at all. Dwarfs. This is going to be one of the first ones which I'm not sure about. I think they're down here. Now, people who I know are in the know think they are here, and I just don't see it. I just don't see how they are going to be a good team. So I think they are around... Do I still rate them higher than Blackhawks, actually? That's probably the deciding factor here, isn't it? Do I rate them higher than Blackhawks? No, I don't rate them higher than Blackhawks. I think I'd rather play Blackhawks at a tournament. I don't think the D tier block jock for one simple fact, they start with block. I don't think any team that starts with that much block can be D tier. This is we're talking NAF start at the moment, not progression. Progression we'll come on to later, but I don't think any team that starts with mass block can be down here because block is arguably the best skill in the game. But I just don't see some people saying they're up here, and I just don't see it. I just can't see how they are an A tier team anymore. Union Elves, cool. That's not true. Union Elves are probably C tier because, again, they are tongue-in-cheek. I know it's Union Elves are probably in C tier. They're not completely useless because they're still Edge 4+. You still have 2 really good blitzers. You still have 2 catchers, which, depending on the packages, can be good. They could end up being a star player vessel in the right rule sets. So I don't think you could put them in D tier, but just they are the worst elf team, and it's not close. Well, because I say we'll come to what I think you could make D tier, but yeah, I mean they are low C. They are low C, but because Edge 4+, good blitzers, and I think you're going to start seeing a lot of star players run with them. I don't think they are D. We'll see. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Flings are I'm going to put into C tier. It's a toss-up between them and Gnomes. We'll come on to Gnomes in a second. I think Flings are better than Gnomes now, which is because I think Gnomes got shafted in this rule set. They're still going to be a star player vassal. They lost Griff, but gained Jordell, so that's very much the Top Gear meme of, oh no. But anyway, they're still gonna do some well at some tournaments, but yeah, they're still stunties. They're not quite useless. We'll come on. There are some teams that'll be on there in a second. Goblins. This is actually a hard one to tier because if we're going on pure win rate, they probably should be here. But I actually think if we're looking at how good they could be in the right hands, I think they're actually in B tier. I don't think they're quite A tier because they still explode. They're still goblins. But chainsaws being able to cage dive now is mental. That scares me. The star player access is going to be the big one for them, how tournaments rule that. Elite skills do not affect them at all. They do not care about elite skills. So they are in the right hands now, I think, a really good team. If Ripper doesn't get banned from some tournaments, I think there's an argument. Oh, that's the other reason for Blackhawks, Bowie. Blackhawks for Ripper. I've done some theory testing on that, and we've had a little bit of a practice game. Blackhawks for Ripper, I think, is going to be very good. If Ripper's not made a megastar, which I argue think he should be already. So that's why I think these two, I think, solid B tier with them. We'll see. Blackhawks traditionally do have a bad win rate, so this one might come back to bite me in the arse. Same with Goblins, but if I was to play a tournament, well, personally, if I was to play a tournament out of any of these teams down here, it would be Flings because I know them better. But I think these are probably the best out of those lots to take. Humans, I think it's low C because they're still going to be a star player vassal. But I just don't know why you'd play them. Because I think there's better start. I'm going to put my D tier. I think humans, even with star player vassal, I think there's better teams. I think there's actually better human teams that do the star player vassaling now. So I don't think they're. Khorne. I think Khorne are a D tier team now. I think Khorne got so much worse. And elite skills hammer them in particular. I do not rate Khorne right now. I think Khorne are arguably the worst teams in the entire game. I won't name shame. I saw an article that said Khorne are maybe a top 10 team now, and I'm like, that I think is one of the wildest takes I've ever heard, because Khorne were bad before, and I think they got worse. They lost 2 of their best players. They got nothing to help the Seekers, unlike Nurgle, who got so much help. I don't think Khorne are a good team. I think Khorne just got worse, unfortunately. Lizardmen, straight into A tier. Even with the cost increase, they're still a very good team. Even if you can't give 6 players block, 2 of them now got Juggernaut, which means they're your blitzers. The costs have got a little bit more awkward for Lizards, so it depends how tournaments go. I have seen some people saying that we should actually lower the TV amount in tournaments. That could hurt Lizards quite badly. But I think right now, I still think they're going to be very much where they were. They're that good team that has a couple of rough matchups. Necro, straight into A tier. Necro just got flat better. They don't really care about the skill cap, the elite cap, especially if it's going to be only a maximum of 4 of each skills. That does not bother them at all. But still 4 guard, 4 guard and 4 block. If they give them 8 skills, if you give a Necro 8 skills, I worry. Necro, everything, they just got flat better. They're really good. Nobility. High B tier. Straight into tier, put some A tier. Yeah. Necro and A tier team. S tier too. Nobility, B tier. I think they're a really good team now. I'm actually considering taking them to the first few tournaments of the year. Yeah. Yeah, that I 100% agree, Jock. Some teams get absolutely screwed by elite skills, and some teams, depending on how you do it, even if you said you could only have 4 block or guard or mighty blow, I still think you can make a good Necro team. You just have to take a few wrestle and some tackle on a Wraith. I still think you'd have a really good team. I don't think Necro care too much about the elite skills, whereas teams like Black Orcs, Lizardmen, Khorne, just looking at them here, Chaos, get hammered by elite skills. Union Elves as well in some respects. They get quite badly hurt by elite skills. Yeah, so I think Lizardmen, so Nobility, yeah, I think they're really good. They're mostly elite skill proof-ish. And I still think you can make a good team if you only have 4 elite skills. If it's a maximum of 4 of each elite skill, they're absolutely fine. I think Nobility are actually now a really good, solid upper half team. Norse. I think Norse go into A tier just because I think Guard is going to be a little less prevalent, and Guard's the main thing that hurts them. And like a couple of teams have lost a few strength players, which also hurts them. And yeah, and they don't care at all about elite skills. So I think that's why Norse are, yeah, I think Norse are an A tier team. I think they got slightly better this edition, but not like enough where you're like, oh, that's a massive upgrade. I think they just got sussly better in a lot of places, which is I would put them B tier before. I think they're now definitely an A tier team. You think they're upper C? Again, I think any team that starts, sorry, upper B. I mean, I would say they're low end of A, but I think, I don't know, they're like, yeah, they're like there, but I'm going to go with A just because I think if tournament rule sets go heavy on elite skills, I think Norse will be very much an A tier team because they do not care about elite skills, really. You take your 3 guard, you take your 1 block, and then you're happy to wrestle and tackle and everything else. Nurgle's a hard one because my guess is they're here, and I've heard people say they're here. I heard one argument say they're now here, which again, I think is the same article that had Khorne as a top 10 team, had Nurgle as a bottom 5 team. And I thought that was wild.
Nuts for the nuts throw!
Hey, Dukes.
Dukes just subscribed for 15 months.
50 months with the Nutters. Thank you so much, Dukes. Hello, Caswelly. Yeah, I fit. That's why I'm putting Nurgle at B tier. Because again, because I think they got worse, generally, Caswelly, and elite skills hurt them a lot. They lost 2 of their best players and didn't gain anything really for it. They're a hard team to use anyway, and they lost two players that don't have frenzy access, and I think that's really bad. Honestly, Khorne Gore, in my opinion, were the best players by a mile. If they'd given Seekers Brawler, argument they would be here, but Seekers got nothing. When you look at what they gave Nurgle and you look at what they gave Khorne, and I feel really sad for Khorne. I think going back to Nurgle, I think Nurgle's a solid B tier team. Elite skills do hurt them a bit, so if elite skills get heavily taxed, I think they're in trouble. But the stink me up, as we're going to call it, stand firm, foul appearance, mask, and like 4 guard or 2 guard or 4 block, whatever. That is just going to be a hell to deal with. I mean, that is just. This is NAF at the moment, Caswelly. This is Resurrection style. We'll get on to we'll adjust for progression afterwards. No, scoring is Nurgle's problem, but I still don't think it's going to be that bad because you just stick your bloaters into you can cage up with the bloaters just contacting, and against weaker teams, they're not going to be pushing you back. They're going to have to risk the dodging off, and I think they can make their way up the pitch. I do agree, picking up the ball carrying is an issue, but secure the ball is very good for them. I don't see, yeah, they're kind of the same. They're kind of like Nobility, but more extreme. They're better at defending nobility, which is saying something because nobility are very good at defending, but they lack the players to score, which nobility struggle scoring sometimes. I think Nurgle will probably mostly score on defense and then will just try and score on offense. Yeah, we're not putting Slann in this. We're not putting High Elves in this because we're not seeing official rules for them yet. And the High Elf tiering will be completely pointless because probably in the next year they'll get new rules anyway. So there's no point tiering based on a set we don't PDF haven't even seen yet. Orcs is another hard one. I'm not as high on Orcs as most or some. I think Orcs are around here as well. I don't think they're bad by any stretch of the imagination. But seeing them slightly below Norse, that actually makes me think that's wrong. Do I rate them more than Norse? Maybe. Think that. We'll rejiggle the tiers afterwards. I think they're a high B. I don't think they're an S tier like some people have been saying. I don't think they're quite A tier. Again, the elite skills might hurt them a little bit, depending on how they're taxed. If it's just 4 of each skill, they don't care. I hate relying on a troll to do anything, and they're going to have to take the troll now. They are so cheap, though. They are so cheap. You can get a bribe in most rosters. Ritual teams made worse. Yeah, I don't think they're A. I think I'd rather play Lizardmen than Orcs in a tournament. OWA is A tier, though. That's easy. I think they're just an A tier team now. They've got the skills to fight with the upper tier teams because they start with tackle. They've got you mean A? You think A? You think S tier for OWA? You think up here? I think they're high A personally. So we've got high S and low A. You're going to be I as an OWA lover, I am actually almost annoyed that they're actually good now. hey Randy. I'm almost annoyed they're good because they were my baby and I could almost guarantee I'd go to tournament and almost no one else would play them. And now I'm like, my first couple of tournaments, I'm like, I'm not going to play OWA because I think it might be an OWA fest. With this is we're tiering at the moment for NAF style. In progression, they're definitely an A tier team because they still suffer from what all human teams suffer from, which is once you get to mid to high TV, they fall off a cliff. You know what? I'm actually going low S. The reason I'm going low S is because you give Mighty Blow to the Blitzer. If you get a stack, you then give him guard as well. And you've got to tackle Mighty Blow off the bat. You got access to 3 other guard players. If you get a secondary, a Dwarf Longbeard with guard is going to be a nightmare to deal with. The tree doesn't have loner. Yeah, we'll go S tier. Low S tier though. Renegades, I'm struggling to work out because I think they're just here, aren't they? They haven't really changed. Either Rady, by all means, please put the lock in, put a link in below. I'd love to compare later. Well, the things OWA don't need a stack anymore, really, because you really start with tackle. You say that. I've seen some rule sets to get a secondary, Jock. 100%. I've already seen rule sets still giving OWA secondary. And I'm there going, sod the ogre. I'll take a treatment, give him guard because he's not got loner, and I'll put guard on a Longbeard and go. I've got defensive and guard. Good luck, everybody. Skaven is down here with I put Skaven like here. They're not D tier. They're better than I think these teams. I think. God, how can you imagine saying to someone 6 months ago, I would rate goblins higher than Skaven? Can you imagine that? Can you? What has this edition done? But yeah, they're still going to be solid-ish. They're just not where they used to be, which is up here. They're still a fast team. If they get the ball down, which is now going to be a lot harder for them, sure, but if they get the ball down, gutter runners can still zoom off. This is actually one of the ones I'm worried about. There's a couple of guys I really respect that still think Skaven could be good. I just don't think they're up here. Undead, we're going solid B tier team. My main problem with Undead is why play Undead when Necromantic exists now? But starting with tackle's good. Starting with tackle is obviously very good. Strength 5 is very good. Mighty Blow is a good skill. It's just the ghouls, which is the problem. You still think they're A tier? I don't think they're quite A tier anymore. The ball carrying is what my biggest concern with them. Even if everything else seems very good. Because yes, ghouls gained regen, but even if you're relying on regen, that means your ghouls still died for the drive. Whereas, and they lack the speed now. That's what more worries me, is they lack speed. Whereas Necro still have 6 players which are speed 6 or above. They've only got 4 players now, and their 4 players are slower. So Eye Gouge is very good. You think A? I can be convinced with A. I can be convinced with a low A. Eye Gouge, I need to play with Eye Gouge. I think Eye Gouge seems like an absolute mental ability. It's way better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, it's quite funny because the argument's always been play Necro or play Undead. And generally speaking, any rule set that makes Necro too good, you didn't play Undead, you play Necro. And any rule set that made Necro bad, you play Undead. And I just don't see many rule sets where Necro won't be better than Undead anymore. Underworld, I think are an A tier team. They got the buffs that the Skaven got without the downsides. Yes, they play a slightly different game. Nothing about them makes me think they got worse. They already were a pretty good team in the right hands. Their win rate always sucks, which is weird because they've got one of the worst win rates in NAF, which I don't understand. But I think it's because people just got sick of playing them because they were so good for so long. Wood Elves, I think, are also an A-tier team. I think they actually in some ways got better this edition. Yes, losing 2 catchers hurts. Roster building's so much easier now for them because the players came down in cost. The thrower came down in cost. The Rhinos came down in cost. They got sprint on their catchers, which makes the 1 turn pretty much easier to sort out. The elite tax doesn't really hurt them, as Christopher B says. You just take your 4 dodge. You take a couple of wrestles. If you've got that many skills, you probably won't. You take your strip ball, you take whatever you want on the other ward answer, either frenzy, tackle, or sidestep. They're a really good team. I just not quite sure that they're here still, but I think there's an outside chance they're actually one of the best teams in this edition. But I still think they're very, very high A tier. It's just losing the 2 catches, I think, why I put them down there a little bit. Right, Chaos Dwarfs, I think they're around here. Chaos Dwarfs didn't really change. For NAF, Hobgoblins can't take general skills anymore. You probably weren't taking skills on your Hobgoblins anyway, so that makes no real difference. The elite tax sucks depending on how they do it, but if it's just a cap of a maximum of 4 of each skill, they don't care, because you just go 2 block, 4 guard, job done. Just mean you won't be able to 5th guard. Their quote-unquote nerf seems far less worse now. The other teams around them got a lot worse. So I think Chaos Dwarfs are a very good solid B tier. The downside to Chaos Dwarfs is they're still really expensive. You still need a lot of money. And with people talking about lowering the TV amounts teams are getting, that would hurt Chaos Dwarfs, which is why I don't think I could put them much higher than the mid-B tier team. Snotlings, I'm not quite willing to put them up here. I know some people will. I think they're here, like very high C tier. Yeah. Chaos Dwarfs don't seem quite so bad now, do they? We got the new edition. Yeah, I think Snotlings are like high C tier. I think they're still gonna explode sometimes, but oh God, 4 strength 5 and star player caddy, that just seems pretty good to me. Tomb Kings, I think Tomb Kings are here. Yeah, 4 big guys, no loner. Sorry, yeah, 4 big guys. You know what? You convinced 4 big guys, no loner. They can be bottom and B tier. Tomb Kings, I think, are an A tier team. Again, we just talked about this with Snotlings. 4 strength 5 players with no loner. pretty good. They got Brawler, they got better. Their thrower got better. Secured the ball, helps them a little bit. They're still going to suffer from, if you base up all their positionals, they're still probably going to maybe have to dodge away, and that's generally when Tomb Kings do lose games, when they have to start making dodges. But I don't see them being much worse. I think they just seem better. I would have said in the old rules they were about here. I think they are better. They didn't get, one of the things they didn't get nerfed. If anything, they got buffed. So I think we'll see them as like a low A tier team. Gnomes, unfortunately, I love Gnomes. They're a D tier team now. They got hit so heavily this edition, which seems weird to say. Unlike Flings, they can't afford the star players that they're going to need. The elite tax cripples them because they need dodge. 4 dodge just doesn't really cut it. I just don't think they're going to be a very good team this edition, unfortunately, which is a shame because I absolutely love the team, but I think they just got hit quite hard this edition. In progression, I think is even worse for them now in some ways. Bretonnians. This is a tough one because Mass Wrestle was good, and I think in a low TV NAF style environment, I think they can still do something. They are a star player caddy, very much so. They're not nobility good. I would, if Griff is allowed, they're definitely a B tier team in my opinion. The elite tax doesn't really hurt them at all. You got dodge maybe on 1 or 2 of your catches. You got guard in your 2 blitzers, and then you're probably looking at like tackle on a lineman. I don't know if you take throwers. I don't really rate the thrower, but if you do, you whack block on him. So again, it depends how they do the elite tax. But the elite tax is, I think you can work around the elite tax. They're really cheap. They are really, really cheap. So you can get almost everything you need for 950 and then get star player access. I think they're slightly worse than Norse in NAF style because block is better than wrestle mostly. That's the main reason I would say block is. I'd rather have mass block than mass wrestle. Mass wrestle is really good. Vampires, they're still a very good team. They're still somewhere here. They're still, I think, very much an A tier team. I would argue that the nerf to what do you call it? Bro, brain will work in a minute. The nerf to Hypnogaze is kind of a side grade to Hypnogaze. There's definitely times it's going to be worse. There's definitely times it's going to be better. So I don't think they got worse by any stretch of the imagination. The elite tax maybe sucks a little bit, but not really. I just think because of the top end gaze being less good, I can't quite think I can put them here. Also, you still need to be a very good player to make the most of them. So if we're going by NAF win rate, that will suffer a little bit. Ogres are still very much a D tier team. Right, if we're going to rank these in order, though. I think Dark Elves are probably slightly better than Chaos Dwarf still. Yeah, I'd go with that. I'd go with that as my actual order. What I think it will look like. Do you make teams for Talkies being OP? No, Sonic's a B tier, which I think for stunty teams very good. Yeah, I think Undead do have a very good Zom matchup now. I do fully agree. It's just more Undead OWA both have very good Zom matchups, but that although yes, to be good you probably have to be able to take on Zons. But I just worry about Undead versus a few of the other like mid-tier matchups. You think Underworld's over-tiered massively? Well, you'd have them down in B tier. I don't think they are. I think Underworld are still very good because they got better for no costs. I mean, I've got them at low A. I don't think we're a million miles away from each other. Because this is now the order I would have the teams in. Now, this doesn't mean that this should be the tierings for tournaments. I should stress this. This is just how I think once you've tiered in for tournaments that things will pan out. I don't think Dark Elves are too high, Christopher B. I've literally got them mid-table, and I think they are still a very good team. I really don't rate Khorne. I think Khorne got worse. I know the upside of Khorne's better, but the reason I don't like Khorne is because the Linos still explode are the first sign of trouble. They're very reliant on the Rot Spawn doing anything, whereas I rate the Chaos Linos more. And Armbar is OP. It's not. But there we go. That's what I think before having played more than one game of BB 2025. We'll see the tiers. We're going to be ready to see come back in 6 months, or 6 months, or 6 months, a year, 4 years, and see how well this has held up to scrutiny. If we were looking at progression, because I did say I would adjust for progression, I think the main differences in progression is Chaos go up to B tier, 100% in progression. I think OWA probably drop down to A in progression. They start off very well, and then they're going to drop off a bit. Vampires obviously go up to A tier in progression, because you give Vampires enough time to develop a team, they will be freaking mental. Batonians, I think, actually drop down to C tier in progression, because I don't know what you do with them after about the first 6 skills. Nurgle, Nurgle are definitely A tier in progression as well. Nurgle definitely go up to A tier in progression. Orcs, I think, go to A tier in progression, but it is a low A tier for me. I still don't. I think people are overestimating how easy it's going to be to level the Linos, even with the new MVP. And if you're really putting MVP on the Linos and not the Black Orcs and Blitzers. Chaos Dwarfs I actually think might be A tier in progression, but I'm not willing to, but they're definitely high B tier in progression. Snotlings drop down in progression. Goblins drop down in progression. Not that low, but they do drop down. I think there's an argument Skaven probably go up to C tier in progression. I think Khorne go up to high C in progression. Underworld probably drop down to B tier in progression. Not that low. I think we're looking at progression is probably something like that. Necro is still up there because they love progression. They'll get really good in progression. The elite skills do hurt them a little bit. She's saying that elite skills. Elite skills do hurt them a little bit, but I don't think they hurt them that much. Actually, I think Undead go down to B in progression. Yeah. I think progression, that's probably close to what it is. I need to have a proper look, but I don't really have time to go fully into the details today, unfortunately. Lizards do get hit by elite tax. They probably drop down a little bit. So do Nurgle, and I still rate Nurgle up in A tier in progression. But Lizards also suffer from it, even though the MMGs are less likely. The MMG cycle is still real in this mission. Yeah, probably that for progression, I would say. The teams that worry me about this tier list are Dwarf, Skaven, because weapons of Dwarfs are actually good, and some of the people in the know are right, even though I disagree. And maybe we're overestimating how good Goblins are going to be, but we'll see. But yeah, I'd say that's probably roughly what I think progression would look like. The post-match sequence does really hurt Lizards. No benefit for Randomie except to say to you SPP now, but you do get more choices. Yeah, the humans captain rule I do really like. It's better on Orcs, so. Right, well there we go, YouTube. Let me know if you like this content. We're going to do one more video on BB 2025, which is going to be a predictions video of stuff I think we're going to see this edition. I see to do a couple bit more works for that. So come back tomorrow. Well, come back in the future for that.